Now it's done. Now it's done.
Perfect.
Yes, just one comment before you continue. Sorry, this is Ifigenia speaking. It is not in the presentation mode, what we see on the screen. Maybe you should...
Yes, of course. I will do it now, Ifigenia. Thank you very much.
Right?
Thank you very much. Please, Daniela, go on.
Okay, Margherita, thanks a lot. So just to say that this impressive platform is able to collect different technologies developed by our partner to provide services to port authorities. This is the interface to enter into the platform. And as you can see in this moment, there are two services, one for oil spill and the second for wastewater. This platform is modular. This means that in the future, it will be quite easy to integrate different technologies or other services required by our customers. Please, next one. Margherita, the next slide. Okay. Which are the main customers for this? But not only. We also consider port operators, shipping companies, local public administration, the Coastal Guard, the Environmental Protection Agency, but also the oil and gas and offshore industries. The next, please. Which are the main benefits that this user can have? First of all, with this platform, we have an integrated solution for the oil spill monitoring in the area surrounding the. Is a validated methodology and services to provide the observation product operationally and in real time, acquired by different sources such as the DIAS, the ESA hub, but there are also two Copernicus mirror sites, one hosted by the National Observatory of Athens for the Mediterranean Basin, and a second hosted by University of Las Palmas in Canaria for the Northeast Atlantic. The oil spill and wastewater alert are generated by an automatic system that simulate the decision taken by expert. Another benefit is that the in cloud without need to install any kind of software or plugin. And this means that the customer will not have any maintenance cost in adopting this kind of service. It's also easy the business model because user can subscribe this service. And last, but of course not least, we integrated different technologies that are satellite, drone, autonomous surface vehicles. The next, Margherita. Okay, when you are entering the platform, you can see that in this moment there are three areas. There is the port of Taranto in Italy and the port of Rafina in Greece. The next. When you enter in the system and select the oil spill service, you can select a time period, and in this case, you can see all the events occurred in that period. For each of these events, there is the date of acquisition of the image occurrence. This is important because according to this probability, it is possible to ask in automatic way some other services, such as, for example, the forecast. In this moment, we selected a percentage of 50%, but the user can decide for a different threshold. Go to the next. This is, for example, an object that is possible to see. And go to the other. The oil spill are generated data. Our partner, National Observatory of Athens, developed a system automatic that works in real time. This is important because in this moment we selected this kind of data that is free for the user, and this means that it is a quite cheap service for the user. But of course, if needed, if it's required, it's possible to integrate more high-resolution data, such as Cosmo or also other radar data providing from new satellite. The next. Go because it's an animation. Okay, this is the forecast. So you can ask, in case you need to monitor an oil spill, a forecast. So for the next 3 days, you can see how this oil spill can move in the area of the port. Go, Margherita. Okay, this is the same oil spill the day after, and there is another. And this is the last day of the monitoring. Of course, this is just an example. We decided to visualize the data each day, but it's possible to decide to visualize up to 15 minutes according to models. Go. The model that we put in our service are a very consolidated model developed by two partners, the CMCC and ICMAT, and there are high-resolution hydrodynamic model coupled with water pollution models already validated for the Mediterranean Sea. Go to the other. Another important component of this service is the possibility to ask for a drone survey. Of course, the port should be equipped with this kind of device, but in case it's possible directly from this platform, ask for a drone, send to the drone the coordinate of the spill to monitor, and acquire the data and visualize into the platform. This component is under development in this moment, but it go to the other. There is also another nice function in this platform, and is the possibility to ask for monitoring using an autonomous surface vehicle. In this moment, for this project, this is possible only for La Luz port, where our partner, University of Las Canarias, with the littoral, are developing an integrated system for the monitoring of an area of interest by drone, but also by vehicles. Go to the other. And this is the second line of service that we implemented. This is the service for wastewater. You can see a event, and in this moment we integrated the data related to turbidity, chlorophyll, a suspended particular matter. Go to the other, Margherita. This is an example. As you can see, this is the area of Taranto, and as you can see, you can decide to select using the transparency the layer to in order to see all the layer on one per time. With an associated legend, and also in this case it will be possible to ask for a forecast. Go to the other. We also add the possibility for the user to design, to draw an area into the platform, and this area can be used to activate the next. In this case, when we decided for this is a nice picture of the monitoring that is possible to do when you ask also for a forecast. The next. Okay, I want just to mention that some days ago, our partner in Canary Island did a first test of integration of drone and ship technology. They simulated an oil spill producing with a water tracer dye, and activated 3 drone flights, several vehicles. In the next slide, Margherita, you can see an example of the picture acquired by the drone. And these data in this moment are not yet integrated in our platform because we are our implementation is not yet completed, but it will be the next step. And the next, Margherita, I put here just some picture from this nice, very recent event in Canaria. And this is all from my side. Of course, I'm open for any question today, but also in the next, you can contact me directly to NEREUS. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Daniela. Margherita Crisaki and Daniela Yazilo framed and introduced us to the and its benefits. Now we like to take a moment and that give you the opportunity to react to their presentations, to comment, and to ask questions. What you have seen. Okay. If we have not a question or no comments for the moment, we move on, and maybe through the next impulse statements and presentations, you will be more inspired. I'm quite glad to welcome José Luis Mojito from the Air Center. José, please introduce us your organization and show us what's your impact with harbours. And you work beyond Europe, and what is the impact there on oil spilling, on marine pollution?
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much, Roya. Well, nice presentation, Danielle and Margherita. Thank you so much for introducing this subject. And maybe you could put in a presentation mode. Okay, thank you so much, Margherita. So, I mean, I will talk a little bit about the Air Center. Air Center is a distributed collaboration network. It's the result of a long process of scientific diplomacy initiated by Portugal, but now includes several countries around the Atlantic. From both sides of the Atlantic and also from North and South Atlantic. As you can see, all of these countries have ports. We've been in contact with some of them. And the main reason we are very much interested in the outcome of the project of Impressive, I'm showing the other slides. Can you go to the other slide, please, Margarita? Their center has a mission-oriented approach to science, technology, and innovation in the Atlantic. Our objective is to foster job creation and sustainable development, economic development. Our main mission areas are those, but I would like to specifically talk about clean and productive bay and estuaries, and also improved environmental and maritime security. These are 2 points in our scientific agenda that touch the Impressive. And that's something that we are very much interested in the outcome of the project Impressive that we could share with all the stakeholders in our network. We've been, our network, basically what we do, we orchestrate the network. We've been designing this network for quite a long time. We have dozens of different kind of organizations participating in their center, like governments, research institutions, industry. Through this process of orchestration, we try to come up with some scientific technology and innovation output with the society and impact. So basically, I would like you all to see us as a network orchestrators, that we are very happy to participate in this meeting together with Roy and Margarita, because that's what we've been doing, like NEREUS, networking with people. Can you move to the next slide, please? So specifically related to ports, we've been awarded, we are part of the program project awarded by ESA. It's called Atlantic Regional Initiative. And there are 2 points that touch is specifically what the Impressive is doing right now, is the protection of coastal assets, security, tourism, and public health, but most important, port pollution monitoring. So it'd be very interesting if we could link both initiatives for us to learn to each other. And also, as you can see, another very important point in this project is protecting the ocean, detection and monitoring of marine litter, and also good environmental status of marine areas. So touch directly to the presentation that Daniela did. But I have to say that Planetech is part of this project. So basically, we are already working with Planetech, but I have to join now behind the scenes between these two projects, if you allow me to do so. Okay, I'd like only to talk about a project that we just started. You can move to the another slide, please. We were just awarded a new project, called Ports of the Future. I see that Antonio Gaspar, that was the leader of the proposal, is online here with us. Maybe he could add something later on. It's interesting because we are focusing, I'd like to focus on this presentation on the Porto dos Açores. We showed them Impressive platform, but they are very much interested in how can you use air quality related to waste management, because Port of the Açores, I was asking to talk specifically about the Port of the Açores. For them, the main problem is air quality. One of these big cruise ships stops in any one of the islands in the Açores. The air pollution is increased several times. And also they have a big problem related to waste management. Sometimes all these, they dump a lot of waste on these islands. It's very complicated to deal with waste in these islands. Sometimes they have to pay these waste to be sent to the continent, to be processed in the continent. And in this case, marine pollution and oil spills are not of immediate concern for them. But we'd like very much to talk to you related to Port de Açores, related to water management. This will be very important for us. So this is a very, in a nutshell, is what is their center and also what are our interests on this project. And I leave you in the last slide with my contacts. If you need any further information, please contact me. Thank you, Margarita.
Thank you, Jose, for this very colorful presentation. There are quite a number of initiatives you are involved in, and maritime is really core to your organization. The Azores is a founding region of ours. You are on the platform, the only archipelago. So you're very destined to support us and to work with us on maritime issues. What is quite interesting for us in the Atlantic initiative that you realize in the frame of a large ESA initiative, port authorities are also key stakeholder. How do you proceed to mobilize them? How do you interact with them?
Oh, good question. Thank you for this question. I mean, the Air Center has a long experience on strategic stakeholder engagement. We are using a user story methodology that, I mean, we developed from Scrum and Agile software development. We adapted this for Earth observation. We basically link them, asking them what they would like to do, how they would like to do, what will be the conditions for the service to be accepted and approved and used by the final user. So all of our project comes from the stakeholder, from our network. They send us their user needs of information, services, and products. We relay to our partners, and sometimes we also develop part of this project as well as Earth observation solutions. So in a nutshell, what we've been doing is talking to all of our partners through this user stories methodology. I can share with you if you want to. Yeah, and it's very useful because you can leverage all the information you have from the users, from, like, for example, you've been working a lot on user stories from fisheries. And from fishermen to governments, to governance bodies, to multilateral organizations, and try to put them in the same level for us to extract the user needs for this kind of services and products.
I think that's very interesting, and I think this is also a good a connecting topic with the impressive project where you can discuss, where you can exchange experiences. The Azores is a very, very special space ecosystem in Europe. We are very proud to have you on, amongst our members, and I discuss often with your colleague Francesco Macedo about this ecosystem. When I was in the Azores, I learned that the Azores are the place where the oil spilling monitoring in the whole North Atlantic is done. How do you link with these companies in the Azores and with this ecosystem?
Well, this is, I mean, the Azores is very much, there's a lot of coverage, what is going in the Azores for security reasons in terms of Europe. So we have a lot of information that we feed in different platforms to get all this information. You know, so oil spills, I mean, it's only a problem when they have a big accidents around the Azores, because mostly marine litter and oil spills in the Azores just floats through, as you know, understand. It's not accumulate exactly on the Azores, you know. But of course, this is very important because the impact that the oil spill can have in the Azores is huge. It's huge. So to destroy all the biodiversity is very complicated. I mean, to deal with these kind of problems in isolated islands like the Azores, because to process all these problems takes a lot of time, a lot of resources that sometimes these regions, all the most regions don't have.
Thank you. You are part, as the Azores, you are part of a group of outermost regions. Can you recall how many outermost regions are part of this group and on which continents are they situated?
I mean, we basically are dealing with as the center. We are dealing to several of these islands. I mean, these outermost, not from region, but islands. I mean, for example, we have a lot of work developed with São Tomé and Príncipe, Cape Verde, and also to Canary Islands, I mean, Madeira Island, also Açores. But we also have a lot of links to other areas. For example, in the Caribbean now, we are developing our network in the Caribbean. Also, we're starting to work on some islands in Brazilian islands in the South Atlantic. They have very strategic, I mean, islands and archipelagos in the Azores. We try to put all this together in the way that a solution that is developed for one of these regions can be applied in other regions.
Maybe for those of our participants who are not so much familiar with the term outermost regions, it's regions that belong to Europe and they are part of France or part of Portugal, but they are sometimes situated like French Guiana on another continent or in the Caribbean Sea like Martinique or Guadeloupe.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you.
And they are often archipelagos, islands, or have coasts and harbors. They are remoted from the mainland, and especially their harbor management is an important topic. And maybe also this could be an interesting target audience for the impressive project.
Yes, but not only the European outermost region, I should say, but also other regions like, as I said, São Tomé, Cape Verde. I give you an example. In 98% of all people and goods arrive and leave, I mean, Azores by maritime transportation. So any problem with the ports, being oil spills or any disturbance by extreme weather, for example, simply stops all the kind of provisionals of services and goods in the Azores.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose, for this really, really interesting discussion. I think we now move on to the colleagues, the port authorities from Veneto and the colleague from Madrid region. Paolo Menegazzo, I give you the floor. Veneto region is also a founding region of our network, quite important and active. And when it comes to pollution events, I think in Venice you have also a lot to say. If I think of Venice, it's a large tourist destination. You have also a lot of cruise ship coming to your region. Curious for your impulse statement. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. I am Paolo Menegazzo. I'm responsible for the strategic planning of North Adriatic Port of Venice. It's the Port Authority. And first of all, thank you for giving me the possibility to learn from this session, because it's always interesting to stay up to date to the news. As Port of Venice, we are really interested because Venice is the port of the Veneto region, is an important port in north part of Italy. So we have to fight every day to make our port really competitive. We want a lot of ships, we want a lot of traffic, but we have to balance this improvement of traffic with the really delicate environment in which the port is located. In fact, if you please go to the next slide, you see all the port terminals are inside the Lagoon of Venice. You probably know how delicate is this environment, and so you can only imagine what will happen in case of oil spill inside of the Venice Lagoon. So we are interested in knowing all the update in this state. And in general, we really want to stay up to date to everything that is also related with the precision in positioning. In fact, if you go to the next slide, please. You see, before arriving to the port terminals, ships has to run a couple of hours inside the lagoon of Venice. The canal are shallow water, so the positioning, the precision is really important. And so we are interested in everything that is linked with the improving of navigability and in general improving of technology. For example, all the things that is related to the traffic management, but also images, for example, to monitoring erosion. In fact, we dredge our canals to have ships entering the port, and erosion is an important issue. So I really hope that these initiatives, and I say, I'm asking the consortium maybe also to consider us in next initiatives, because we really need the help in using the new technologies to balance this improving of traffic, so to improve the performance of our port, but respecting our environment. So thank you very much. And I'm here available for any questions.
Thank you, Paolo, for this very instructive presentation. I have a concrete question. You are a port authority from a remote port, from a large port. How are port authorities organized? Do you have a central meeting? Do you have a central association? How do you interact with other port authorities?
At the national level, there are the coordination among different port authorities by the National Ministry for Infrastructure. So we know all our colleagues, and we have strategies for Italian national ports through the Environmental and Infrastructure Ministry, National Ministry. And then we also take part to several European initiatives. For example, the ESPO, the European Port Association, that is an important association for strategies, to draw the strategies and so on. And it's a good vehicle to stay up to date.
Mm-hmm. And administrative structure in the national administrature, port authorities are linked to the National Transport Ministry in Italy, for instance.
Yes.
And when you deal with environmental matters or with pollution, do you then have to interact with other ministries, or how does that, or do you do that on a voluntary base? How does that work?
No, we also have an open dialogue with the environmental ministry for everything that is related. And in the port in Italy, the port authority is in charge of some aspects like navigability, while the Coast Guard is in charge of other issues, for example, safety of navigation. So we also often work together with the colleagues of the Coast Guard.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Daniela Isilo and Margarita Kisaki, you work in this impressive project, and you address port authorities. Do you have a question or a comment to Paolo's presentation?
Daniela, if you want, you can go first.
Yes, for me, it is a very useful presentation to understand which are the needs of port authorities. Of course, Venice, I know that is a very special case. I work a lot in the past on Venice with Veneto region, so I know that there are very specific problems related to Venice. In any case, I would ask a general question. What do you think about a service like Impressive? In other way, apart the specific service, because we can add more dedicated service, for example, for navigability or other. A service provided in cloud is attractive for a port authority?
I believe it's for sure attractive. I think that it's also something that has to discuss together with the Coast Guard, because in case of accident, Coast Guard are the entity, the body that will start to work firstly. Port Authority can act for the strategic planning, but then in case of accident is the Coast Guard that will work. So I think that would be interesting, but not alone only as Port Authority, but just but from the beginning to start dealing with the Coast Guard. At the national level, the Coast Guard, the Central Coast Guard, I believe that they will be happy to see such a presentation. And I already provided some information of this meeting to the Coast Guard, and they read some documents, and they told me that it's something really interesting. So.
Thanks a lot.
From my side, a small question. If you had a spill accident in the past and how you dealt with this, and what kind of techniques did you use, in case you remember?
I'm not really an expert in this. I know that now it's years that we did not have such an accident, also because we have really strict rules on for entering the Port of Venice. So ships can enter only during the day, in only some specific ports, and so on.
Thank you, and we really hope that you well can preserve your harbor and the lagoon and this beautiful city. One last round of question, if it's from the audience to Paolo. We have port authorities in the audience. Maybe you have questions. Okay, no, thank you. Then we move. Thank you. Very glad to have you, and you had really experience from the ground, which are very, very useful for us. I'm now glad to give the floor to Ignacio Di Calle from Casar Science Resources. Ignacio, you are making business. You are from a company like Daniela, and please share your experience with us.
Yes, thank you. I'll try. So, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to give this presentation. Okay, so the idea with the presentation, as you said, is to see if I could provide some useful insights into the impressive and the products that you're developing, with maybe some focus on the potential users of these products. I only have a few minutes, so I won't be able to go into many details, but at least I hope I'll give you a bit of an overview, and you can ask me either now or at any other time. So let me first introduce myself. If you move to the next slide. So my name is Ignacio de la Calle. I'm a scientist. I'm one of the co-founders of the company Casar Science Resources. We've been since 2016. We are 25 employees, which are a combination of scientists, software, and system engineers. We mainly work on the aerospace sector, and for the past couple of years, we moved into the sector of Earth observations. So in the next slide. That was as a result of a project that we presented for the incubation by the European Space Agency. You might know they have incubation centers all across Europe. So we presented this project, SIMBAD, to the incubation center in Madrid, and we were awarded the project, and we came into their incubation program. The program started in October 2018 and will finish in January. And the platform that was, or the project was called SIMBAD, and the idea was to develop Earth observation products that we could provide to users. And we started with the first use case, which was the mapping of the Posidonia cyanidea meadows in the Mediterranean Sea. This is a protected species and a protected ecosystem, and is one of the main sources of CO2 sink in the world. So it's quite important. It's protected by many laws in many regions and at the European level. So we thought it was a good use case to start with. So if you go to the next slide, please. We release a prototype. No, it's going to be too far here. A bit farther back. There, okay. So we released a prototype of our tool in September 2019. And as of now, it contains the Posidonia cartography of the Balearic Islands. We're working on expanding this to other regions in the Mediterranean Sea. And we're also working in expanding the set of products to oil spills, plastics, and water quality monitoring products. We're using Sentinel 1, 2, and 3 imagery. So if you go to the next slide. So I don't have time to go into the details of the platform, but by what I've seen and been able to read in these past days about the Impressive platform, I think basically the philosophy behind the platform that we build and the one you build in Impressive is basically the same. So it's based on Dockers and Kubernetes, which is used to manage Docker containers. And basically just intrinsically this kind of system, they provide very modular system, very easy to maintain. You can configure them and scale them very easily as well. The good thing about this thing is that you can basically deploy them anywhere that you want to. So we're doing it locally, but the system is ready to be deployed in any cloud environment. One thing that we've been also working a lot is in making these applications secure. I mean, there is, and I think this is going to just increase in the future, there is a trend to move applications to cloud environments, and we're putting a lot of effort in trying to make these applications also secure. So this is more or less the summary of the technology stack that we're using for Simbad, just if you want to compare it later to what you're doing in Impressive. But as I say, I don't have the details, but I have the feeling by what I read that it's exactly the same. So if you move to the next one. And in terms of products, just again to compare what you're doing in Impressive, we're just now for the past few months been developing a project which basically again is identical of what you've been developing for Impressive. So it combines Copernicus data with model data, with in situ data, and the only thing that is slightly different to what you have in Impressive is the use of what is called ICE technology. And this is a technology that is used to monitor vessels and to identify vessels. And in particular, we're working with something that is called MICE, which stands for Maritime Area Integral Supervision, which we think is very important for sea applications, basically because this kind of is a methodology of working where you work by areas. So you define areas on the sea and you basically monitor everything that goes on in that area. And the reason for doing this in water, and I think I explain a little bit later on the next slide, is because the sea is highly compartmentalized. So you need to understand and know what these different regions are, who controls them, what are the regulations on these areas for you to be able to provide, let's say, a tailored product. So in my last slide, I wanted to touch a little bit on my view on uses of this application. And please keep in mind that these are my very personal impressions after 2 years of trying to approach users, working with users, and working on developing these products. So my personal feeling is that these kind of products are booming, and you just have to look at the amounts of data that are being generated in the past years, the amount of satellites up there, and the amount of satellites that are going to be put in place as well. But I sometimes question myself, and I think, is actually the demand for these products increasing at the same pace as the products themselves? My very simple and easy question is that I don't think it is. I think that there is a lot of potential users for these applications. I think users are very excited when you tell them about what you can do with Earth observation products and what you can deliver. But I think there is still a bit of a gap between the products and the very, in some cases, very specific needs that some of the users have. So I think we still have some work to do in order to close that gap. I think these products are in very early stages of development. And like every other technology we've seen in the past, I think the technology is a little bit ahead of the users. And I really think, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this as a company. I really think that this gap will be closed in the future. And my impression is that there are no generic users either. Every user is different. And this is what I was mentioning earlier. I think this is particularly true for the development of water products. Different regions, I mean, the sea is very compartmentalized, and it's sometimes difficult to know who manages those regions. Every region has different regulations, different actors involved, different kind of users. In some cases, have you heard the Port Authority saying that some of the things are dealt by the Coast Guard? So even in a given region, you have different actors in place doing different things. So it's very complicated, in my view, to come up with a solution for all these areas. I mean, every area has to be studied in detail. Then I think I would divide the categories of what users are looking for into two. One is real-time or near real-time information, and I think this is great. These are all good things that we're all trying to develop, and they're very useful system. I think there is high demand for these systems, but I also think they're very complicated to implement, and that sometimes it might not even be possible as of today. For example, you have things like weather conditions, you have a spatial resolution, you have revisit times, and also you have to take into account that sometimes between the satellite passage over a region and the time you get those images and you process them to develop your products, it can pass a large amount of hours, which might be crucial for some of the events we're trying to monitor. So there's the other category of products, which is develop data trends, forecast, statistics, and stack products, which are basically average over a given period of time. I'm not going to go into the details of how to deliver products to the users. I think what you're doing with Impressum is the correct way of doing it. This is what we're doing as well. It's very similar, so I'm not going to go into that. The last piece of thing that I was going to touch is about, are users willing to pay the price? And my impression, sorry, still in the previous slide, and my impression is that I don't think that as of today they're willing to pay the price, or if they are, not very high. That's the experience I've had, and I think that's because is what I was saying at the beginning. We still need to make an effort to try and explain or derive very specific products that actually meet their needs. And I think the question is down to two very, very basic points. One is, are these products helping users to reduce their cost, or are they helping them to increase productivity? And that sets the amount by which you can charge the users for that. So the service scheme that you're proposing with Impressum, I think, is also the correct one, and is the one that we're trying to adopt as well, which is a license scheme, which could be a lifetime license. You can have some sort of maintenance agreements, which means that you get all the free updates and features that you develop over the course of the license. And then another important point, I think, is the provision of something so that users can integrate the products that you develop with their applications. And this is the last point I have in the next slide, which is an example of something we're doing. We're working with a Swiss company that is basically the one that is implementing all this ACE technology, and we're working with a prototype in the island of La Cabrera in Mallorca, that is a national park, and we're basically providing this company with a cartography that we're developing so that they can plot together with the SIP tracking that you see there, the yellow points, over the cartography that we develop, and that gives the authorities a bit of an indication of what this ecosystem, the pressure that this ecosystem are subjected to by anchoring boats or by simply boats moving around. So I think it's important that the products you develop can also be integrated with user applications. And I think this is more or less all I had. I know it's a bit fast and a bit general, but I don't know. I hope you get a bit of an overview and you can ask me anything you want.
Thank you, Ignacio. I think I will take from your presentation that we still, and I think it's applicable also to other sector, we need a lot of explanatory work to demonstrate and really explain well the benefits. Why do I need this service? Why is that service not a nice to have, but it makes my life better, easier, it makes my resource deployment more efficient?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that view. Sometimes I feel like we are creating a problem for the user. We're telling the user a problem they have when they don't even know they have the problem, and then we're trying to provide a solution for the problem. So, I mean, as I say, I think we're a bit ahead of the users, but I think this is only going to get better in the future. So,
I think what is important really is to, and something you put on the table is a solution as such. So to look at what is going into the concrete rather than the method.
yeah, sorry, I lost you a little bit there, but I think I got the general message, and yeah, I mean, I agree.
Okay, we had this of a bit in discussion. Nevertheless, your presentation was very instructive and interesting for us, and gave a new perspective on the activity of Impressive. I like to give the floor to port authorities, to our audience first, to ask questions to Ignacio or give comments. There are none. Are there? Yeah, please, Jose. Please.
Can I ask a question to Ignacio?
Yes.
So thank you so much for your presentation. We have been involved in a series of projects with seagrass restoration. Does your tool work only for Posidonia, meaning the Mediterranean bioregion, or do you think it could be applied in other regions in the Atlantic? Because of other species, I mean, not Posidonia, yeah.
I mean, it is possible to do for other species, but of course, as all these things, you need in situ data to train your algorithms.
Yes.
So I know the seagrasses have been detected in the Mediterranean, or can be detected in the Mediterranean Sea. We haven't expanded yet out of the Mediterranean Sea, but if there is in situ data that you can use to train your algorithms, you might be able to see them, yeah.
Oh, I have to talk to you later today. I'll send you an email.
Okay, good. So we are a platform for networking, so we will be very glad to have networked you both and connected. Do the Impressive representatives have questions? Then the floor is yours.
I will take the floor. So it's something that we discussed with Daniela prior to the meeting, and it was a question actually coming from one of the speakers. I don't know who exactly, but maybe it needs, and especially after the presentation of Ignacio, it needs to make clearer what is the added value of Impressive tool and what is the difference in the market. For example, we heard that I had a question from another participant that what is the difference between Impressive tool and what EMSA does? Maybe Daniela or if anyone else can take the floor from Impressive project can maybe clarify this point.
Yes, I can try. On this team. Yes, we are aware that there is the EMSA service at European level, but EMSA service is a very general service, and there are a lot of reports in the past years that demonstrate that a lot of very small oil spill or oil spill very close to the coast are not identified by EMSA. And this is the reason for to put in place this project, very specific for port authorities. Because as Ignacio mentioned before, and I agree with him when they say each user is different. This is the reason we try to create a system specific for port authority that can work also with coastal guard, with, as we understand before. So valid service, but if we want to address users that are not aware of Earth observation, are not expert in interpreting radar images, that is very, very difficult, we have to simplify the complexity of that images and try to put just the information in a very simple user interface.
Yes, if I can ask something to Daniela, because this point that you highlight now, it's really important. Can you provide us with a range of dimension of oil spill that is it possible to detect with this system? Because in particular for the lagoon and the city of Venice, really small oil spilling would be really interesting to be detected.
This is a very good question. I would ask if Igenia can give more details, because NOAA developed the algorithm for oil spill identification. I don't know if Igenia is able to give his reply in this moment or later.
Yes, hello, and thank you very much for this question. I'm not ready to give you a number because I would need to consult my report for that. But what is important to highlight here is that what we can do, if you have some examples, is that we can work together to see if this is detected by the algorithm as an event, or we can customize the algorithm in this area to be able to look at smaller events, because at some point we have a fuzzy system where we put the knowledge of the expert to decide if an expert would see this as an oil spill or not, because basically this is what we do. We simulate the decision of the expert, and then we say that, okay, this has a probability to be an oil spill of more than, say, 60%, 60 or 70%. So then it needs to be, it needs to go further into the processing chain, and it needs to be evaluated. This is the concept of impressive. So in case that the area has some peculiarities, like, of course, the lagoon, and I was very much interested in your presentation before, then these rules can be slightly modified. So we can filter smaller to keep smaller spills, smaller. Basically, we call them lookalikes because we are not sure if it is a spill or not. It is like it is an object on the image that is a suspicious object. So then we decide with an expert system if this can be an oil spill or not. In the lagoon, these rules should be a bit different because of the proximity to the land, because if there's going to be something, it will probably be an accident, and this needs some more tuning. So I will go back and give you a number if you want, but whatever number that is for impressive, I do realize for the Port of Venice, this could be something different and something smaller. So what I would like to stress here is that for a new case, these rules can be customized to actually fit the purposes of this specific case, on which, of course, we can work together.
Thank you very much for the explanation. Clear.
Thank you, and thank you for your interest and your commitment to stay with us even over time. I think now it's the time to close the discussion. We had a very good introduction and presentation of what Impressive is about, what is the platform about, what does it bring, the new service. And I think in the discussion with different stakeholders, with Jose from Açores, with the Venice Port authorities, with Paolo, and with the company representative from Madrid, Ignacio, it became clear together different stakeholder layer and also work on communication, outreach, promotion, and better understanding the will we keep you
I think the connection is not that good. Roger, can you repeat the last sentence because it's not good, the connection.
The project, what would you like the participants to take as a takeaway?
Daniela or Eugenia? Yes. You have to unmute, Daniela.
You need to unmute. We can't hear you, Daniela.
Sorry.
We can't hear you. Yes.
Now with the voice. I think that curiosity about this project and interest in participate in the final event and request further information. So contact us. We are happy to reply any kind of question.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let
for
me
participating.
One comment before we go, that this was very, very interesting, and this interaction with stakeholders and all the presentations that we heard. It is extremely important to also see that we are talking about a problem that has many aspects. It's not just to find an oil spill, but where is this oil spill? What is it going to affect? What is the life of the port? Is the port part of a city? Which was presented in one of the first presentations. So I think that it is important for all of us to take back as a message that we are talking about a holistic problem. And satellites and Earth observation cannot give an answer to everything, but certainly they can contribute to decision making in many levels, not only if something is an oil spill or not, but also what is the nature, what is the protected area there, what is the city, what are the uses of the city around the coast. So it is a problem that is quite complex, and this is only a piece of the puzzle. We are here to understand the big problem, the big picture. Okay, so we are very much. Personally, I was really very much interested in all the presentations, and I would like to thank the participants for that.
Thank you. Good. Then we can close here, and we keep you tuned and keep in touch with you. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eugenia, Daniela, Jose, Paolo, Ignacio.
Bye. Thank you.
I stopped recording.